Hello, Brenda. Rob here. You're probably wondering, geez, Rob needs a haircut. You're right. It's windy outside, so the door is slamming. Sorry about that. I'm in Costa Rica. Anyways, that's why my hair is all unruly. Got your email, and you answered the questions. You have a home studio in a small town in Wyoming. So I had to look at your website and have some ideas. I'm going to go through. Your answers here. You've had a home studio, and it barely supports itself. You said you want to change that this year. I'm assuming you want to change it so that it's making money. Not that you want to move or anything. Home studios are fine. They're actually very good. I like home studios. I'm not sure how much space you have, but I looked at your website images, and it appears you're doing some stuff in studio, and it looks like you have room. So, yeah, you don't even need super tall ceilings. 8 feet will do. Typically, the most backdrops for fairy pictures are 10 feet wide, 10 feet like the square base, and 10 feet wide backdrop, 7 or 8 feet tall-ish. And, you have to go back a little bit, but typically that's what you need. You could get away with smaller, but anyways, let me know how big your shooting area is. It's not something I want you to stress out about. You said, are you starting out as a profitable studio? Yes, so obviously that kind of coincides with your comment here. I want to change that this year. You want to start making money. Lighting, very basic, I can do. You have 3 alien bees. Typically, you need 4 lights for good fairy portraits. So you need a nice large main light, 2 kicker lights. I think that's really important. I use 2 kicker lights that are like 30, 36 inch soft boxes with the grids on them, so they're more controlled. And I always throw on some backlight. Backlight's not super important, but I find it adds a little bit of dimension. So sometimes I'll often just use a smaller flash just to kick in a little background light. So it's neither here nor there. Do you have a large main light, like an octodome or something like that, and or smaller soft boxes for the kicker light? I mean, we're going to start there and go from there. You're going to definitely use all 3. Do you have a backdrop? If not, have a look at some of the options. They're not super expensive. Lighting. Photoshop. Okay, we're not going to worry about Photoshop. You got a lot of experience with Photoshop. Marketing. Nothing you do works. If it's not working, there's something broken. So that's what that means. Something's not working. It's either the product, the message, the geography, or the media. So we can get to looking at that. I'll address that in a minute. You're good at posing. That's good. So you're obviously good with kids. I looked at your website, and you got a lot of kids there. So studio management. Well, let me talk about studio management. If you go to studio management, means who's taking the calls, who's booking the appointments, who's taking the money, depositing the money, sending out the emails. My wife does all that, so she's the studio manager. So if you don't have somebody to do that for you, you're obviously going to do all that for now, and that's cool. You just start out that way. I think what you need to do if you want to do fairies is we're going to start you off working with what you have right now. You may have to invest in a few more props and or say dresses or whatever. I'm not sure where you're at with all of that. And then we're going to get minimally a nice product. We're going to shoot some samples, properly lit, proper poses, proper props. Once you have that, then we can make an offer and get out there in the community and start doing fairy sessions. Okay, but you got to be able to get that done first of all. So if you go to Fairy Masters, Selling and Management, right here, there's a link to one of the videos that I think is about an hour, 59 minutes. I did with my wife. That's a good one to watch. And I'm not going to worry about Photoshop. I'm not going to worry about marketing right now for you. So I highly recommend you put yourself in a regiment and go watch as many of these videos. And I got many more coming. Download the manual, have a look at it. Just get in the mindset to understand what it is. Don't get too excited or ahead of yourself. Just sort of take it one step at a time. And I think right now you got to make an assessment. You got to do an inventory. How big is your place? Do you have any backdrops, and do you have any props? So we have to take care of that first of all. Do you have any fairy dresses? Do you have? You don't need a lot. I mean, we started out with one, and then we got another one. Actually, we had 2 made, so we ended up with 3. But we got rid of the first one because it was like, bleh. So for years we only had 2. They were made, custom made. We invested a fair amount of money in them. So what do you have available? And there is somewhere in here, picking the best dresses right here. And you have wings, and you need floral headpieces. A lot of this stuff is reasonably, well, it's not expensive, except for if you buy the wings, they're a little bit pricey. But, you can make them yourself because you have the patterns, and you can either do them yourself if you're a pretty good seamstress, or if you know a seamstress, you pay them. So that's pretty important. Okay, so I looked at where you are. You're in the middle of Wyoming, not too far from Salt Lake City, which is probably an area that you would draw from, because I'm looking at the distance. It looks to be less than an hour's drive. Or down the road, you can look at maybe doing a Fairy Day session, an event in Salt Lake City. But you got to have the product first. So I don't know. I mean, your town's pretty small. I had a look at it. It's 2,656 people. That's pretty small. So I'm not sure that there's enough there to, maybe enough to get you going, but to sustain a successful photography business, photographing fairies, ice fairies, or medieval portraits and all that stuff. However, doesn't mean you can't make it mobile and go to these other areas down the road. So maybe that's part of your problem. Small town, you got to create a very good product that people want, and they're willing to drive in. I mean, that could be part of where you want to go with all this. So I had a look at your website. I was looking to see, you got a tots and tweens. Some of your lighting, I'm thinking, can be improved overall. I mean, it's not bad. This is your studio, I gather. So, I mean, it's not bad, but I see room for improvement. But I'm not going to go there yet. So we're going to focus on fairies for now, and see what we can do, get you going down that way. So, just a couple of side thoughts. Scheduling an appointment, having a scheduler online, it's not something we do. My wife doesn't like that idea. She really likes the one-on-one. Something to think about, but we can go there later. And what else was I going to say? I think that's it. I cover everything. So if you want to understand a little more about studio management, but yeah, we got to figure out, do you have enough space? Do you have any props? Do you have access to a 4th light, even if it's a really small one? It doesn't have to be big. And once you get you got to get a mushroom with a mirror, 4x4 plexiglass mirror, which is what we use. So you may have to invest upwards to $1,000, $500 if you're lean and mean, very crafty. Depends how committed you are and how much you want to get into this. So, but I can help you with a step-by-step getting her done. So, okay, let me know what you think, and do your best to answer some of the questions that I sort of cryptically posed. And mainly want to know, I guess I want to know, how bad do you want to do this, and where are you at right now inventory wise? Space, backdrops, props, dresses, wings, and access to a 4th light, and we'll go from there. All right. Thanks, Brenda. We'll talk soon. Oh, by the way, we're having a mastermind. I don't know if you're aware of that. January 17th. I sent out an email, so let me know if you can join us. So, okay, we'll talk later.